Filmmakers Melissa McCarthy and Ben Falcone are one of the most talented couples in Hollywood. They're both actors, writers, comedians whose work we've seen in films like Bridesmaids, Tammy and The Heat. Their latest project is a hilarious film we saw the other day called The Boss, which, overachievers, they co-wrote, co-star, and Ben even directed it.
Whoa.
Gee, what do you do in your spare time? Welcome to the show, Melissa and Ben.
Thank you.
We sound both better and more annoying when you really sum it all up. I kind of hate us.
I'd hate to be at a barbecue with you guys, because you're standing there and say, "What do you guys do?" "Oh, we make movies and we star in them."
And we write them.
Where do you go from
We're
that?
total narcissists, is what we're saying.
We live in our own world.
I like the idea, Melissa, your character in this is the 49th richest woman in America.
Yes.
So rich that she got Destiny's Child to reunite in her lounge room and then make them split up.
That's just my personal dream.
That's how rich. And she's one of those self-help gurus.
Yeah, she's kind of got her hands in everything. Michelle Darnell's a character I started doing 15, 16 years ago at a little, the Groundlings Theater, an improv theater where we actually met. And I just kind of couldn't get her out of my head. And the more I thought about her, the more ridiculous stories I kept coming up with. And Ben was a little freaked out that I was still talking about her 2 years later and then 4 years later. And
yeah, she says, hey, do you think Michelle Darnell is an orphan? And I'm like, what?
Go back to sleep.
Yeah, go back to sleep.
He's like, you did that sketch 9 years ago. You're being super creepy. I was like, I can't stop thinking about her.
But also the way she looks is hilariously spectacular. Describe her clothing for us.
Luscious is where I'd start right off the bat. I don't know. After swaddling myself and all that, everything was shiny, slinky, satin. It's like by the end of the day, I was like, this makes sense to me. At the end of shooting, I thought this is how I should dress all the time. Always a full turtleneck.
Yes.
To and above the jawline was very important.
Yes.
I always thought perhaps she's had her face done, not her neck. I mean, that's just my
Was
backstory.
there a goiter?
No, I just think that was just my backstory. I don't think she has a goiter. It's where her power comes from. But just so much nails and hair and jewelry and a ton of makeup, and I just loved it.
And she runs foul of the law and it's white collar crime, which isn't really a crime.
Sure, according to her, no.
And Ben, you play the lawyer.
I play the lawyer who tells her that things have gone wrong, and then Melissa hit me in the neck with a tennis ball.
Yeah.
Improv?
It seemed like the right thing to do.
That was immediately what she suggested when we were writing, and I was like, really? Does it have to be? Oh, yeah, it should be very violent. And then on the day, it's actually a fake, it's a CG tennis ball. And she goes, don't you really want to feel a real tennis ball as an actor so that you can feel the reaction? I'm like, absolutely not. I think I got
I've really played tennis for a long time. I can hit that. I can hit that target. And Ben was like, what is the matter with you? I thought, let's just keep it real. Let me take a good swing at you.
How does it actually work? How's the dynamic? Do you sit at opposite ends of a table? Do you share an office when you're writing? How does it work?
We write everything on a seesaw.
We write on a teeter totter.
We only eat bananas for 7 months at a time. It gets real weird. No, we finally got an office. We finally we're like, look, we're grown-ups, because we used to write at our dining room table with our kids running around, or we would, to get a second alone, we would end up sitting in the car.
Yeah, we go out in the
down
car.
the block from our house.
Because otherwise the kids are pitching lines. I don't know if that's funny, Dad. I'm like, oh, God, this is so hard.
That's what you want. You want to be shot down by your 8-year-old.
Oh, no.
I don't know if that's really a good bit.
Is that what she'd do right now in the story?
But your kids are in this.
Yeah.
They are. This is, which was a whole weird thing that we swore we would never do.
Yeah, but we needed a 7-8-year-old who looked a lot like Melissa, and
would work for free.
Exactly. That's my
Exactly.
point. I was we've kept you in tennis shoes for 7 years. It's time you catch up. But we weren't going to let her. We kept saying no, and they were fascinated because there was all these kids on set. And once they saw that, they're like, wait, why are we not there and doing it? I said, because you're not. You're going to go to school and you're not going to do this.
You're cleaning my chimney.
Exactly. Thank you. And making porridge. And they kept asking. And then our oldest one finally said, this is after a month and a half of asking and us saying no. She said, well, am I not allowed to at least try? And I was like, oh, you're good.
Oh, that's good.
You're really good.
And she got you a beauty.
Yeah. So she knew exactly what she was doing, and she was really good at it. We were total wrecks and not helpful on the day that she was working, but
Yeah, she seemed a little in the car. She plays the second orphan, and in the car she seemed a little like I don't know, out of sorts. And I'm like, honey, do you need a snack? Do you need anything? And she goes, Daddy, if you don't mind, I'm just trying to remember that Michelle has been given away a bunch of times, so I'm trying to remember that I'm not very happy right now.
Wow,
like,
she's good.
I was like, I'm so sorry. I'll get out of your face.
I know.
You know,
We
the
were
rest of
both
us are just making it up.
trying to make her happy, and she's like, I think I'm supposed to stay pretty upset, and you're making it impossible. We're like, we're gonna back off because we're doing everything we can to make this not go well. But
Wow.
she did great.
She's gone the full Pacino.
I know.
She's very method.
Yeah.
Very method.
And we said you can do it again in about 20 years. You can try it again.
When you're directing Melissa, Ben, have there been any scenes that have been really hard for you to direct her in any of the work you've done together?
Not yet. Well, she was very happy the day that she got to make out with Peter Dinklage. I'll
Yes.
say that.
Yeah, that
Just
was
out
a
of-
great
I'm a
scene.
professional, guys.
Yep, she was just
I
walking
may
around
have
with a
asked for a
smug
couple extra
smile.
takes.
Yep, smug, happy. I'm like, really? She was like, yep. And I was like, and then
It was
Kristen
always
Bell's
like,
like,
"One
Ben,
more
please,
time."
just stop. Let this happen. I was like, all right.
Poor Pete. Like, it was just Kristen and I always like, hey, Pete.
Yeah.
How you doing, Pete?
Yep.
He's
But
so
every-
handsome and
Yeah,
he's so
absolutely.
sexy.
He's just with that voice, and he comes in and he has some kind of weird magic coming out of him that's just like powerful. But his last day, the whole crew, it just felt odd, and I think everybody was kind of bummed that he was leaving because he's so incredibly funny and he's just a super cool guy. And everybody and I literally at one point I was like, oh my God, I know what it is. Because the crew's we're getting weird glances, and I'm like, we didn't fire Pete, for the record. He has to leave today because he's fancy and he's going to do like another movie.
And his part was over, but everyone was kind of blaming me and Melissa.
And it was
as
just
if,
like huge grips and gaffers that were like kind of giving us the evil eye. And I'm like, we're not firing him. Stop giving us. They walked him out to the car. After Pete's last thing, a bunch of guys followed him out and they were like, see, Pete.
Yeah, a bunch of these
it's not
like
going to be the same, man.
yeah, crew guys with the big tattoos.
yeah.
Bye, Pete. We'll
You're
miss
the
you,
greatest,
Pete.
Shaking hands. I could have been laying dead in a ditch and they'd been like, she's fine. Pete, this meant the world to me. Like,
Did
it was
they think he got
unbelievable.
the sack because he'd made out with you, Melissa?
Yeah.
Ben said, you got to go, mate.
I should have blamed it on you. Like,
Yeah.
Ben did fire him.
Yeah.
That's it.
Be mad at Ben, not me.
As you're sitting next to a tennis racket with a bunch of balls, ready to fire him at his head.
And just working out my right hand so it was really strong.
The movie is great. The Boss in cinemas April 14. Ben and Melissa, thank you for joining
Thank
us.
you so
Thank
much.
you.
Nice to be here.
Nice to meet you guys.